Hi, my name is José Valim from Plataforma, and this week I will present Rails Dispatch to you. In the first episode, Yehuda Katz showed us how to create a blog from scratch without cheating, since he didn't use Scaffold or any other generator in the process. This episode, however, can be considered cheating on steroids. We are going to add new features to our blog using a customized scaffold that is adapted to our workflow. Additionally, we are going to use a few plugins to help us do our job faster. While this screencast will focus on installing and using these plugins, the blog post will take a look at their internals and show how they use several features from Rails 3 to provide better features overall. In this episode, we are going to add authors to our blog posts, but before we do it, we should install two gems, responders and simple form. The first step is to open up our gem file and list both responders and simple form gem. Then we should go back to the command line and call the bundle install command with the relock option since our environment was previously locked. Next, we should invoke the Rails generate responders install command that will copy a few files to our application. The first of them is lib application responder, which inherits from Rails action controller responder to add flash behavior allowing respond with to set flash messages by default, and HTTP cache, which uses last modified and if modified since headers on API requests. Then it injects some code in the application controller to require and use our new responder, and it also changes our application to only respond to HTML by default. Finally, it also copies a locale file with default flash messages depending on the action and on the flash type. We should also do the same with the simple form gem, which will copy an initializer with several configuration values, and it will also copy a locale file allowing you to translate your application. However, the most important file created by this generator is the one at libtemplates ERB scaffold called _form.html.erb. When Rails see a file at this location, the ERB generator used by scaffold will use this file with simple form as template instead of the one included in Rails, allowing us to customize scaffold even further. This file also includes the same logic to show error messages as the latest Rails 3 beta, in which error message 4 was deprecated. Since in the first episode Yehuda used error message helper, as we can see in this file, we will install error message 4 as plugin and customize our scaffold to use the error message helper instead. The responder gem is also customizing the scaffold controller to use respond with by default. I'll explain how the responder gem does it in the blog post. For this while, we'll move to config application and make our last customization by turning off style sheets on scaffold since you already have one for the whole application. After all this customization, we'll finally scaffold an author resource which has two columns, name and age. We can see in the generator output that it is in fact using the responders controller generator and that no style sheets were generated. Finally, if we open the generated controller, we can see that all actions use respond with and that none of them set flash messages, since we moved this responsibility to the respond with and internationalization APIs. We can also see that our template was successfully picked by the generator and our form used both the simple form for and error messages method. Before we continue, we should run migrations, install the dynamic form plugin, which contains error messages for, and start the server. Now we can hit the author's URL in our browser and create a new author as usual. In this form, we can check the source code and see that simple form wraps each input with a div which contains several HTML classes, including input types for CSS customization. Besides, if we validate the presence for both name and age attributes, we can see that our form will correctly show that these fields are required. If we submit an empty form, validations will be properly displayed and we can create an author as well. After successfully creating an author, we can see that a flash message is exhibited, indicating our respond with method works as expected. It also shows the same flash message twice, but only because the new Rails 3 beta scaffold includes the notice message in the show view, which we are going to remove now. To finally add authors to our post, we need to create another migration to add an author ID column to the posts table. Then we should run this new migration, change our post model, adding the belongs to author relationship, and change the author model to have a has many posts relationship. The last step is to change the create action in the posts controller to create a post using the current author. There are several ways to retrieve the current author. We can get it through the URL or even add a select box in our views and send the author ID from the form. The solution we are going to use for is by getting the author from the session after he is authenticated. To help us add authentication to our blog, we are going to use another plugin called Devise. Devise is a full-stack authentication solution for Rails based on Rack and Rails engines. To install Devise, we need to add it to our gem file and run bundle install lock once again. As the previous gems, Devise also has an installation command which creates an initializer file with several configurations options that you must check out and a locale file with all messages. Besides, Devise also prints a few steps that we need to do manually. The first of them is to add the default URL options to Action Mailer. We are going to add it just to the development environment, but you must do it for all environments. Next, we should also add a root which we are going to point to the index action of the posts controller. After we do it, we should also delete the index.html file in the public folder. The last step is to add notice and alert message to our layout, which we already did. Next, we will add Devise configuration to the author model by invoking another generator. This generator detects a model already exists and injects some code into it. It also creates a migration and add a route as we can see in configure routes. In the model, we should call the Devise helper with the names of the modules we want to include. All modules are described in Devise README, and by now we want to include both registrable and confirmable, since authors will not be able to sign up on their own. Devise also calls Editor Accessible method, to which we should add both name and age attributes. Notice we don't need to add validations to email and password, because Devise already does it through the validatable module. We should also do a few changes in the migration, as renaming create table to change table, removing timestamps fields since they already exist, and commenting confirmable and the confirmation token index. After these modifications, we can run migrations once again, restart the server, access the root route of our blog, and confirm it works as expected. Since we added authentication to our blog, we could ensure that only authenticated authors can create, update, and delete posts. Luckily, Devise provides a few helpers to do it, and the first step is to remove the HTTP basic authentication code from our application controller since it is too general. Next, we are going to change our posts controller, change the respond to call, since we are already declaring response to HTML in the application controller, and add the new before filter using Devise helpers to protect all except index and show actions. Now we can finally rewrite our create action to use the current author method, also from Devise, to create a new post. While we are at it, let's also change most actions to use the respond with method. Notice in the destroy action, we can also remove the flash message, since respond with will set it automatically for us. If we go back to the browser and click the edit link, our blog will ask us to sign in first. Since the only author we created does not have a password, we will try using the forgot your password link. Whoops! The forgot password feature requires an email, which we don't have in our auto record as well. That said, we are going to the command line and add one email to the only author using Rails Runner. We can see the command returning true, showing the author record was properly updated. That said, we can finally give our address to forgot password and it will email us a token to reset our password. Since we don't want to wait the token to arrive to our email, we can see the sent email in Rails server log and copy the link to our browser. Accessing this new page, we can finally add a password to our account and sign in with success. Now we can even delete a post and see that the flash message is properly set as well. Notice we get all this functionality for free from Devise. Also, we just removed code from our controllers, showing that the respond with abstraction is really powerful. Now we are going to create a new blog post, which will be properly related to the current author in the database. However, in our layout, we cannot even see who is the current author signed in, so we are going to add this information. In the application layout inside our view folder, we can use the author signed in method from Devise to detect if there is a user signed in and show his name with links to edit and sign out. For the sign out URL, we are going to use an URL helper provided by Devise. If the user is not signed in, we should show the sign-in link instead. If we refresh the page, we can see the current author and the links are properly displayed now. We can even improve the look a little bit. Remember that you can check all routes and URL helpers added by Devise by running rake routes in the command line. Now, since our blog posts have authors, we need to change our pages to show the author name together with the blog post. The index view of our post controller is the first view we are going to change. And while we are at it, we should also modify it to only show the edit and destroy links if there is an author signed in. Next, we will also add the author name to the show view of the post controller. And remember, since we are showing the author for each post in the index action, we should eager load them by using the includes method to avoid unnecessary queries in the database. Refreshing the page, we can see that the author name is now properly exhibited. To finish protecting our blog, we should also call the authenticate author method as before filter in both authors and comments controllers. Always checking if we are protecting the appropriate actions. We should also replicate a few changes we did to the index action in the post controller to the authors controller. For example, we should only show the edit and destroy links if an author is signed in as well. If we click the new author link, we will also notice that our form is outdated since it does not contain email and password fields. However, you can easily add them in the form partial inside the app views authors folder using simple form helpers. Heading back to the new authors form, we can see our new fields are there. However, they have poor styling. This happens because simple form smartly detects if the field is an email and sets the type to email according to the HTML5 specification. And it also sets the type to password if any field has a name matching password. That said, to fix the style, we just need to add these new rules to our application CSS file. Voila! Our CSS rules were now applied and our form works as expected. We can even see the validations in action once again. Obviously, there is much more we can do here, but it is time to move on. Our last task is to add a contact form to our blog, allowing our readers to contact us. To help us implement this feature, we are going to use another tool called Mailform, which makes sending the value sent through a form to an email quite easy. The first step, as always, is to add this new gem to our gem file and run bundle install lock. After, we are going to use our customized scaffold generator once again to create a contact form with fields name, email, author ID, and message. Notice we are also explicitly giving to the generator an RM option specifying mail form. Now, we need to make a few changes in the generated content. We'll start with the controller by removing all actions except new and create. We should also change the create action to use the contact form API by calling the deliver method. In cases of successful deliveries, we will redirect to the root URL with a notice message. We should also remove all views except new and add to it the contents of the form partial. While we are at it, let's also give it a better title. Now we are ready to restart the server and hit the contact forms/new URL in the browser. Notice our form looks good, but we actually want the author to be a select field with author names and the message to be a text area. So let's go back to our new view and customize it. All we need to do is to give a collection to author ID, and SimpleForm will automatically retrieve IDs and names to create a select box. And we should also tell the message field to be rendered as text. Finally, we'll also change the submit button to have text send. Going back to our form, we can refresh the page and see that everything is nicely rendered. We can even see the author names in the select box. But before we send our first message, let's take a look at the model. The model has all the attributes given to the scaffold generator. Since this model is based on Rails 3 Active Model, we can even use the Validations API we already know and love. Mailform has also several defaults for the email headers like sender and subject. However, it requires us to set a recipient. In this case, the recipient will simply be the chosen author's email. Now we can go back to our form and fill it. Let's suppose YehudaCats wants to send us a message. If he leaves the author and message fields blank, validations will be properly displayed. If he chooses an author and writes a message saying, "Hey, thanks for adding authentication to our blog," the form will be posted and a flash message will appear. In the Rails server log, we can see that an email from ycats@example was sent to the author's email, which in this case is josevalim@plataforma-tech. The email body includes both the sender name, email, and given message. We are able to add all this functionality with very few lines of code thanks to Rails 3 flexibility, allowing plugins to easily hook in. That is all for this week, and don't forget to read the blog post which will look at both Rails 3 and a few plugin internals. Thank you for watching.